Usually when you look at a massive tech conglomerate like Meta,
Hmm.
you expect a certain level of like strategic uniformity.
Right, a unified direction.
Exactly, like a single unified march toward the future.
Hmm.
But right now, if you look really closely at what is happening inside Menlo Park, it looks like the company is undergoing this massive, almost like a split personality shift.
Oh, absolutely.
Because on one side, you have these visionary researchers chasing this long-term, godlike artificial superintelligence. And then literally on the exact same day, on the other side of the building, they are ruthlessly tearing up their organizational chart just to squeeze immediate hard revenue out of the AI we have right now.
Yeah, it is a high-stakes balancing act, for sure. Building the distant future while, surviving the present.
Right.
It's the absolute definition of corporate cognitive dissonance. But the fascinating part to me is that none of this is accidental. It is a very deliberate structural choice to navigate what the tech industry is now calling the agentic epoch.
The agentic epoch, yeah.
Exactly. Meta is essentially placing a massive existential bet that they can simultaneously invent the ultimate all-knowing AI and use that exact same underlying technology to persuade you to buy a new pair of sneakers today.
Which is wild when you put it like that.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today we are focusing our lens on a very specific, very critical window of time to show you exactly how this is playing out. We are looking exclusively at Meta's AI updates published between March 1st, 2026 and March 7th, 2026.
Just that 1 week.
Just that single week.
Yeah.
Because this was a week where the theoretical hit the practical hard. I mean, we have research breakthroughs, aggressive corporate restructuring, massive privacy lawsuits, and multi-million-dollar data deals all colliding within a matter of days.
It was a busy week.
It really was. Okay, so let's unpack this. We need to start at the foundation, I think. Because before an AI can, do our shopping or manage our schedules, it has to actually understand the physical world we live in. Right. Which brings us to a major research release that dropped right at the start of that week on March 2nd. I was reading some analysis on this highlighted by the Beijing Academy of Artificial Intelligence, and the scale is just staggering.
What was the project?
So Meta, working alongside several university partners, released a global data engine and benchmark. It's called EGO-AVU.
EGO-AV, what does that stand for?
It stands for Egocentric Audio-Visual Understanding.
Okay.
And it's specifically designed to teach multimodal AI models to genuinely understand the relationship between sound and vision in first-person video.
Oh, gotcha. So if we are talking about egocentric video, we mean footage recorded from a human's point of view, like looking through a pair of smart glasses.
Exactly, like you are the camera.
Right. And they are trying to teach the AI that a specific sound in the environment matches a specific visual action happening right in front of you.
That is the core of it, yeah. Because historically, the AI industry has been heavily biased toward visual processing alone.
Just images.
Right. Models, quote-unquote, see a scene, process the pixels, and try to interpret it. But EGO-AVU forces the model to synthesize both the audio and visual streams simultaneously. And to give you an idea of the sheer scale here,
Yeah, how big is this data set?
we are talking about a release of 3 million training samples.
Wait, 3 million?
3 million. And these cover complex tasks like sound source association and temporal reasoning. So figuring out not just what made a sound, but when and how it happened.
Wow.
And they paired this with a 3,000 question, entirely human-verified benchmark to rigorously test the AI's comprehension.
Okay, so they really want to make sure it gets it right.
Exactly. And by fine-tuning models on this specific data, researchers saw up to 113% performance improvement on audio-visual comprehension benchmarks.
113% jump is wild.
It's massive.
To put that in perspective for you listening, imagine you have spent your entire life watching a movie with the sound completely muted. You can kind of guess what is happening based on like the actors' faces, the lighting, maybe the sudden movements.
Right, you get the gist of it.
But suddenly, someone turns on the speakers. The context completely changes. You hear a glass shatter off screen, and you instantly know why the character jumped.
That's a great way to think about it.
But here's what I don't get. Human babies connect audio and visual cues almost instantly. A baby drops a toy, hears a loud bang, and immediately links the two.
Yeah.
Why has it taken this long for the smartest AI models in the world to figure out that sound and sight actually go together?
Well, it really comes down to the fundamental architecture of artificial neural networks versus biological brains.
Okay.
For a computer, processing a two-dimensional grid of pixels is entirely different from processing the waveform frequencies of audio. They are completely different mathematical languages.
Like trying to read French and speak Japanese at the same time.
Basically, yeah. To synchronize them, to teach a computer that the visual physics of a bouncing ball correspond to the exact rhythmic thud in the audio track, it requires an AI to create what is called a joint embedding space.
A joint embedding space.
Right. It has to translate pixels and sound waves into a shared mathematical representation. And doing that requires immense computational power and perfectly aligned data. Up until now, visual data was just, well, easier to scrape and parse from the internet.
Oh, sure. Billions of photos out.
Exactly. But Ego AVU solves this bottleneck. And you really cannot have embodied AI, autonomous robots, or truly immersive AR and VR if the system is just silently observing. Ego AVU moves AI from silent, passive observation to active, spatial, audio-visual understanding.
Okay, so they are fundamentally upgrading how the machine perceives reality.
Yeah.
That is the visionary long-term research side, the dreamers in the lab.
Right.
But groundbreaking research like Ego AVU is great for academic papers. It doesn't automatically pay the bills.
It does not.
Meta has to turn these lab breakthroughs into actual consumer products, and they have to do it before Google or OpenAI beat them to it. And to make that happen during this exact same week, they fundamentally ripped up their organizational chart.
Yeah, there was some fascinating reporting this week in places like Business Insider Africa, the Times of India, and PYMNTS about this massive internal shakeup.
What went down?
So on March 3rd, Meta established an entirely new applied AI engineering unit. This unit is being led by Reality Labs Vice President Maher Saba, and it reports directly to Meta's Chief Technology Officer, Andrew Bosworth.
Okay.
And the explicit goal here is to completely separate product integration from frontier research.
So you essentially have the company consciously dividing into two distinct camps. You have the dreamers who are locked in the lab trying to build a digital god, and you have the doers who are taking whatever the dreamers built yesterday and using it to try to sell you something today.
That's a perfect analogy. The dreamers are in the Meta Superintelligence Labs, or MSL, led by Alexander Wang.
Right.
Their philosophy is strictly intelligence first. They are working on the massive next-generation foundation models, projects with code names like Avocado and Mango.
Fun name.
Right. But the doers under Maher Saba are completely revenue first. Their mandate is to build the infrastructure for immediate AI applications. And what is truly shocking about Saba's new unit is its structure.
How so?
It features an unusually flat hierarchy. Internal reports indicate they are running up to a 1-to-50 manager-to-employee ratio.
Wait, I have to push back on that. A 1-to-50 manager ratio sounds like absolute chaos.
I know, it sounds crazy.
I mean, how does a single manager actually oversee a small army of 50 software engineers, all of whom are pushing code to an app used by literally billions of people? How do you maintain quality control? You would think the app would crash every 5 minutes.
It sounds chaotic if we think of management in the traditional sense, where a boss is checking every single piece of work. But this is born out of Mark Zuckerberg's ongoing year of efficiency philosophy.
Ah, right.
And it relies heavily on modern software deployment pipelines. In high-speed sectors like AI, layers of middle management actually introduce fatal latency.
It slows things down.
Exactly. By flattening the team, you empower individual, highly talented contributors. The infrastructure handles the quality control through automated CI/CD.
Continuous integration and continuous deployment.
Right. The automated systems test the code. So a manager's job isn't to micromanage the code itself. Their job is purely resource allocation and clearing roadblocks.
Fascinating.
Furthermore, creating this applied unit parallel to the superintelligence labs lets Meta escape what analysts call the redundancy trap.
Okay, wait. What is the redundancy trap?
So if a company only has one unified AI team and they hit a wall trying to build the next massive futuristic model, the whole company stalls out. Product updates freeze.
Because everyone is stuck on the big project.
Exactly. But by splitting them up, if the frontier research team delays their next mega model, the applied team just keeps generating revenue by aggressively optimizing and building features on top of the models they already have.
And we saw the immediate result of that revenue-first mindset on that very same day, March 3rd. While the new org chart was being drawn up, Meta began testing a brand new feature in the wild.
Right, the shopping feature.
Yeah, if you read the coverage in CNET, Meta started rolling out an agentic shopping research feature right inside its web chatbot. So instead of just giving you a text summary of a product you ask about, The AI returns a horizontal scrollable carousel of product cards.
Mhm.
It has images, prices, brand details, and crucially, a customized explanation of why it is recommending that specific item to you.
And that carousel right there, that is the exact moment we cross into the agentic epoch.
There's that phrase again.
Yeah, we are transitioning from AI that acts like an encyclopedia where it just answers your queries to AI that acts as an agent on your behalf. But more importantly, it changes the mechanism of search. Traditional search engines just match keywords. This agentic shopping feature is synthesizing your past social behavior, your Instagram likes, and your demographic data, and combining it with real-time reasoning to generate a highly persuasive, personalized pitch.
Wow.
It bridges the critical gap between social product discovery, like seeing a cool jacket on a friend's feed, and actual purchasing intent. Meta is throwing down the gauntlet against Google and OpenAI, turning their AI into a highly persuasive sales agent.
Which is brilliant for their bottom line. But this brings us to a massive point of friction.
The inevitable wall.
Yeah. So on one side, you have Meta flattening their management structure to move with breakneck speed, gathering tons of data, and rushing these agentic products to billions of users. But when you do that, you inevitably crash headfirst into a brick wall. And that wall is made of user privacy and government regulation.
And that friction hit Meta particularly hard this week. On March 5th, if you read the filings picked up by Courthouse News and Ars Technica, two conspirators filed a major class action lawsuit in San Francisco federal court regarding the Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses.
Wait, the very glasses they're using to gather the egocentric data for things like Ego AVU.
Exactly the same devices. The lawsuit alleges that Meta falsely advertised these smart glasses as being quote-unquote designed for privacy.
Okay.
The core of the complaint claims that sensitive first-person footage captured by everyday users is being routed to third-party annotators for AI training.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The litigation actually relies on an investigation involving interviews with over 30 employees at a subcontractor called Sama, which is based in Kenya. According to the claims, human workers at this facility reviewed intimate user moments, including footage of people in their bathrooms, in order to label the multimodal AI data.
Wait, bathroom footage. That is genuinely
This
terrifying.
is a very serious allegation.
Yeah, and just to make sure, we are being very careful here. We are just looking at the facts of the filing and the reporting. We're not taking a stance on the legal merits of the lawsuit itself.
Of course.
But the visual this creates is incredibly stark.
Yeah.
It is like, it's like you hired someone to organize your family photo album, to put the vacation pictures in one folder and the birthdays in another.
Right.
But then you realize that to do that job, they actually have to sit down and look closely at every single private photo you have ever taken.
That is the perfect analogy for the hidden reality of the modern AI pipeline. We talk about artificial intelligence as if it is this pristine mathematical magic happening inside a server somewhere.
Right, just algorithms.
But the reality is highly dependent on something called human-in-the-loop training. Going back to our discussion on Ego AVU, to teach an AI how the physical world works, the initial data has to be verified and labeled by a human being.
Someone has to teach it.
Exactly. The machine doesn't automatically know that a blurry shape in a video is a toothbrush. A human has to draw a bounding box around it and tag it. And when the data source is a camera strapped to a user's face, the potential for privacy intrusion becomes deeply problematic. The plaintiffs in this lawsuit are exposing the reality of feeding the ravenous data requirements of multimodal AI.
This feels like the elephant in the room for the entire tech industry. I mean, if human annotation is strictly required to make these multimodal AI models safe and capable of understanding our world, is it even theoretically possible for tech companies to train these models without eventually violating someone's privacy?
It's tough.
Like, why can't they just use AI to train AI?
That is the defining regulatory puzzle of our time. Theoretically, companies could use synthetic data, which is data generated by other AIs, to train their models.
Okay, so why not do that?
Well, the problem with synthetic data is something called model collapse.
Model collapse.
Yeah. If an AI trains only on the outputs of other AIs, it is like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. The data eventually degrades. Oh, I see. It loses the chaotic, unpredictable nuance of real human life, and the AI starts amplifying its own errors. To have an AI that safely navigates human spaces, it currently needs to learn from real, messy human data.
Right.
And as long as that requires human review, absolute privacy is incredibly difficult to guarantee at a scale of billions of users.
So on one side, they are facing severe legal backlash because of how they gather the data to build these agents.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, once these agents are actually built and deployed, global regulators are attacking them from a completely different angle.
Yeah, they really are. The very next day, actually, on March 6th, we saw a massive headline regarding Meta's ecosystem coming out of the European Union.
What happened there?
Well, reporting from Reuters and Yahoo Finance detailed a staggering antitrust concession. To stave off potential interim regulatory measures from the EU under the Digital Markets Act, Meta officially committed to allowing rival general-purpose AI chatbots to operate on the WhatsApp Business API.
Wait.
And they agreed to do this for a 12-month period.
Okay, we need to pause on this because the implications are massive.
Huge.
WhatsApp is one of Meta's crown jewels. It has over 2 billion users. Allowing your direct competitors to plug their AI bots into your network is basically handing them the keys to your audience. Why would they surrender that kind of access?
The alternative was likely a bruising, prolonged war with the European Commission, which was investigating complaints that Meta was unfairly locking out competitors to prioritize its own Meta AI assistant.
Ah,
By opening the API for a year, Meta pacifies the regulators and avoids immediate crippling penalties. But the real insight here is what this means for the future of apps. In the agentic epoch, dominant messaging platforms are being forced toward interoperability. The app itself, WhatsApp in this case, is becoming invisible infrastructure. It is basically just a dumb pipe.
right, because if I am using WhatsApp, but I am spending all my time talking to, say, an OpenAI bot or the Google bot to do my shopping and answer my questions, I don't really care that it's WhatsApp. The bot is my interface.
Exactly. And if a rival's bot is smarter and more useful, Meta loses the user relationship entirely, even on their own app.
Wow.
They lose the data stream of that interaction, which undermines their entire advertising business. The battleground is shifting rapidly from who owns the chat app to who builds the smartest, most persuasive agent operating inside it.
Okay, so we have established a clear, intense pattern here for this single week in March.
Yeah.
Meta is moving incredibly fast with research like Ego AVU. They are restructuring under Maher Saba to move even faster and push products like the shopping carousel. And as a direct result of that speed, they are hitting severe legal and regulatory roadblocks regarding user data and platform control. Scraping the internet and passively capturing user data through smart glasses is becoming an absolute legal minefield.
It really is.
So how does a trillion-dollar company solve a data privacy nightmare? They just open up their checkbook and buy legitimate, legally clean data.
That's the pivot. They move from what we call volume-based training, just indiscriminately scraping the whole internet, to utility-based integration.
Got it.
And that brings us to the final major development of the week. On March 3rd, The Guardian and Media Week reported that Meta signed a multi-year AI content licensing agreement with News Corp.
News Corp, meaning the media empire that owns the Wall Street Journal, the Times in the UK, the New York Post, and massive archives of premium journalism.
Yes. The deal is reported to be worth up to $50 million per year, and it spans at least 3 years.
Okay.
It grants Meta the right to utilize News Corp's proprietary premium text data from both the US and the UK.
See, here's where it gets really interesting for me. $50 million a year sounds like a mountain of cash to a normal person.
Oh, absolutely.
But for a company like Meta, whose market cap is over $1 trillion, is that actually a fair price for the entire historical journalistic archive of the Wall Street Journal? Or is News Corp selling their crown jewels at a massive discount?
It is a subject of intense debate among media analysts right now. To provide context, OpenAI previously signed a deal with News Corp that was valued at roughly $250 million over 5 years.
Which averages out to a similar annual rate.
Exactly. But we shouldn't just look at this as replacing lost click traffic for publishers. For Meta, this $50 million a year is essentially hallucination insurance.
Hallucination insurance. I love that framing. Explain how that works.
Well, when an AI model generates a false statement, a hallucination, it damages trust. If it hallucinates a defamatory news event, it creates massive PR and legal liabilities.
Right.
Furthermore, tech companies are currently fighting multi-billion-dollar copyright infringement lawsuits for training their models on copyrighted works without permission.
Which is happening constantly.
Exactly. So by paying $50 million a year, Meta gets highly authoritative, fact-checked data to ground their AI responses in real-time current events. It drastically reduces the AI's tendency to make things up, and crucially, it completely shields Meta from copyright litigation regarding that specific data.
So it's cheap protection.
$50 million is a rounding error compared to the risk of a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. They are buying clean, risk-free fuel for their data engine.
So what does this all mean when you put the pieces together? We are looking at a single, incredibly dense week of activity from March 1st to March 7th.
If we synthesize everything that happened in that window, it paints a very clear, uncompromising picture. Meta has fully entered the agentic epoch.
No going back.
None. They are fundamentally upgrading the sensory inputs of their AI with Ego AVU, doing the hard math to teach it to hear and see the world in perfect sync, just as we do.
Right.
They have completely restructured their engineering teams under Maher Saba, adopting a ruthless 1-to-50 management ratio to push revenue-generating products to market at breakneck speed.
And facing the consequences of that screw.
Exactly. They are encountering severe friction, highlighted by the Kenyan annotator lawsuit exposing the reality of human-in-the-loop training and the EU forcing WhatsApp to become an open pipe for rivals. And to keep the whole machine running safely and legally amidst all this chaos, they're spending tens of millions to buy up premium journalism from News Corp to serve as hallucination insurance.
It's wild.
They are building an autonomous, agent-driven ecosystem, and they are doing it with unprecedented aggression.
And for you, the listener, this isn't just distant corporate maneuvering. This is the exact blueprint for how your daily life is going to change over the next few years.
Absolutely.
The AI you interact with is no longer going to be just a passive chat window sitting in a browser tab waiting for you to ask it a trivia question. It is transitioning into an active, highly persuasive agent. It is going to synthesize your social habits to scroll through a carousel of products and shop for you. It is going to read and summarize the morning news for you using premium licensed data. And through your smart glasses, it is going to literally look at and listen to the physical world alongside you.
It's a new reality.
But it leaves us with a lingering question. If our wearables are constantly capturing our reality and sending the mundane, intimate details of our daily lives to human reviewers thousands of miles away just to make a corporate AI a little bit smarter, are we actually training the AI to serve us? Or are we just outsourcing our privacy to the lowest bidder? Something to mull over. That's our deep dive for today. Catch you next time.